Man, I am so excited because today on the podcast, I am interviewing Brandon and Joy Smith, a dynamic power couple discussing the beautiful yet complex world of blended families. On the episode, we delve into the unspoken realities and hidden blessings of step-parenting, plus tangible steps and lessons they've learned on how to navigate a household with a blended family. Here we go. Brandon and Joy Smith, thank you so much for being on the No Gray Areas podcast. We're going to jump right in. So they already heard an intro about you, the audience did, but we want to talk about blended families today because this podcast is all about the power and complexity of human choices, that we make our choices and eventually our choices make us. But what's interesting is blended families is something most families today are dealing with that in some way. So here's a statistic. 1,300 new blended families are formed every day in the U.S. Over 50% of U.S. families are somehow blended. There's over 50 different styles of blended families, meaning it could be a widow that marries someone. It could be a widow that marries someone and they both have kids. It could be a family, they're both been married for 30 years, but now they adopt children. They have biological children. It could be divorces. So there's over 50 different scenarios of blended families that come together. 1,300 new blended families every day, and over 50% of U.S. families are blended families. So you guys are a blended family, and I thought it would be perfect to have you on here and talk about the beauty of it, the struggle with it, the complexity of it, because even for my wife and I, we didn't really have a blended family, but we probably will at some point. Like I bet one of our kids will end up having a blended family. Or even in saying that, I go, well, we did have a blended family because we had people that kind of came in and lived with us, young people that would live with us on and off sometimes. So we had a blended family, I guess, now that I think of it. Yeah. So all that to say, let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, no, thank you for having us. It is interesting. Years ago, the idea of a blended family felt like it was, you needed to hide that, or there's some shame or embarrassment. And based on those statistics, we're in the majority today.
Exactly.
You're weird if you're not a part of a blended family. The school systems, our government, the way they all operate is slanted towards blended families. And
Absolutely.
so there actually was a freedom in just crossing or being like, hey, we're a blended family. This is who we are, and just owning it.
Yeah. So let me get a little bit of your stories, because you have an interesting blended family, the way it worked. So you guys how long you been married now?
4 years.
4 years. And if now we edit this, so we can edit out whatever you want if you're not comfortable with some of these things. But this was your second marriage, right?
Correct.
First marriage?
Yes.
Right? You brought kids to the...
3 kids.
You brought 3 kids. You had no
0.
kids.
Yep.
So you end up stepping into your first marriage, but you end up getting married to someone and you got 3 instant kids. How old were they?
When we got married, they were 7, 10, and 12. And they were already an established family.
You are a brave person, my friend. Wow, 7, 10, and 12.
Yeah.
So you step into marriage, which is beautiful and crazy and complex and difficult anyway, but jumping right in with 3 kids and one of them going into their teenage years.
Yeah, it was, obviously it wasn't like a surprise to me, but it was something that we had to work through and talk about in books and podcasts and conversations, just a ton of it within, the year and a half leading up to the wedding.
Yeah.
Trying to learn everything that we could. He had been a dad for 12 years. So there was a family that was already established. There's already routines and just memories that were already there. And I'm trying to come in and make myself a part of the family that's already been established. And so that was in and of itself just kind of a learning curve, trying to figure out where I belong in this family that's been established for a long time.
And Joy, you just said something that I've never thought about with a blended family before, like some of the rules and, you've got a kind of a family culture and you were coming in, but I never really thought about memories. I could see all of a sudden they're driving down the road and they start going, oh, Dad, remember when? And you weren't part of that remember when.
Yeah. Truthfully, Pat, that's been one of the biggest struggles for me. We'll be at the dinner table and specifically the oldest, Avery, kind of like Brandon, very nostalgic, loves living, reliving things that happen.
Yep.
And she starts talking about all of these things that I was never a part of and things that were of their previous family. And so I'm like, where do I fit in? How do I manage these emotions that I never got to experience their first time to Disney World or, just soccer games, all of those things that happen normal for kids that as a stepmom, you have to jump in and try to, one, keep your emotions in check, two, try to learn as much as you can because those memories are going to keep coming up. So now when they talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, remember whenever you guys told me this story? And then I ask them specific things about that. Mm-hmm. But it was for a long time, probably first 2 years was really difficult.
That was one of the biggest.
Yeah, that was one of those. I met with a guy by the name of Chris Jones, who had been where we were heading, and met with him several times and just said, hey, what are the hardships of blended family? What step parenting? What's that going to look like? Like, help us. Is this something we really want to do? What's best for the kids? And he recommended books and podcasts and visited with us and just a great influence. But one of the things I remember him saying was, Brandon, he goes, the hardest part is with blended family is when the kids respond with, I don't have to listen to you. You're not my mom, or you're not my dad. Mm-hmm. Or when it becomes between you and your spouse.
I have a hard time believing any kid would pull that one.
or your spouse says, don't talk to my kid that way. He said, being a stepdad is one of the greatest joys of my life. Being a stepdad is pure hell. He goes, and you don't know from minute to minute which one it's going to be. And so we went into this really prepared. Like, we did our homework. Yeah. We read books. We had conversations. We met with other couples, families, probably over-prepared. And we were prepared for a worst-case scenario. And based on what we could control, it couldn't have been easier. The kids, their love for Joy, their respect for Joy, like, we have not had any of those issues. The challenges have been like what Joy said, the unknowns, when memories come up, how that triggers emotion. Yeah. So
do you think part of what made that as smooth as it could be, I won't say smooth because nothing's really smooth. Marriage isn't smooth no matter what it is, and having kids isn't smooth no matter what it is. But it sounds like you're saying it went as smoothly as you could imagine. Was a lot of that because of the preparation you think you did?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we went in eyes wide open. Like, we had been told this is going to be hell. You guys are going to hate it. You are, it could wreck your marriage. And it has for a lot of people. Yeah. And so I think, went in as prepared as possible. Yeah. I listened to countless podcasts, still listen to many podcasts. Yeah. Just trying to gain wisdom and what do you do about this and how do you handle that situation where, it may not be the kids directly, but it's all the ripple effect of it. I mean, it never goes away. People say, oh, well, when the kids are 18, no, because then there's college graduations and weddings and grandkids and family events. Like, it doesn't ever go away. It's still the same. There's still a blended family for the entirety of your life.
Yeah, that's true. And you make a good point. It's not going away. Yeah. It's not like you do it for 2 or 3 years and then it's like, okay, now it's no longer a blended family. It will be.
The seasons change. Yeah. But it will still be there forever.
Yeah. What are some of the practical things that you really learned in that preparation time in that year? And I'm thinking especially for our audience that, again, like I just gave the statistics, most of our audience is somehow dealing with a blended family. And before I do that, let me go back and correct what I said earlier when I said I'm not part of a blended family. Well, I already said, well, I am because we brought someone into our home a couple of times. But then I think, well, no, my parents got divorced and my mom's been remarried. Mm-hmm. And so even though I was a young adult when it happened, I have a blended family now. And I still, it's awkward for me. I'm 52 and do I introduce him as my dad or my stepdad? I'm not really sure. I don't want to offend him. Mm-hmm. I love the guy like he's my dad. But so I get all the complexity of it. But back to my question then, you guys spent a year preparing for this. What are some things that you learned that were so good, like nuggets of truth that you could pass on to our audience?
I think there's 2 practical things we do that it was funny. Just this morning, Joy goes, did you come up with this on your own or did somebody tell you? And I think we just got lucky. And one of those is for the health of our home. And I don't know that our kids are even aware of this, that just a decision Joy and I made is we don't refer to their mother by name. We don't use her name in our household. We also don't refer to her as the ex. I think ex is blocking out. It's a negative on every sitcom. The ex is the laughing stock of a joke, and we blame the ex for everything, and that takes away identity and value of an individual. So we don't refer to her as the ex, but we don't refer to her by name because her name has an emotional attachment in our home. And so when Joy, my wife, hears her name, it's an immediate defense, comparison. And so when we remove the identity and refer to her as our kid's mother, or, in a conversation with the school, our oldest daughter, Avery, will say, I was talking with Avery's mother, and just not using the name creates peace, an emotional, safe place where that individual isn't a third wheel to a marriage or relationship. It's
still gives her
identity is still their mother.
Yep.
But that name has an emotional attachment, positive or negative, that has an impact in every conversation. So if we can just remove the name from our household, helps create peace.
Yeah.
That was huge for me. In the very beginning, especially just because, when you're a couple, it's Brandon and Joy, right? And so whenever you hear your spouse and another individual, or even in separate conversations, there's still some sort of emotion like, oh, I just don't like that.
Yeah.
And so for my well-being in this whole situation, that was a huge thing.
Did you guys make that decision before you even got married?
Yeah.
Then? So that was something that during that year, as you were studying it or something, somewhere in the
Brandon,
stuff you were gleaning.
One day, I don't know what the conversation was, but
it's probably after one of your saunas.
Probably.
With the idea.
Something happened, and I just remember saying, well, let's just remove that from our vocabulary. That helps protect your heart and emotion and helps you compare to the past.
Yeah.
And we've never looked back. And we're now the Chris Jones. We're meeting with other people in blended families, and they're asking us for advice and what do you do? And that's one of the first things we tell them. And some very good friends of ours just got married in the last year, and he had a daughter from a prior relationship, and his wife struggles with baby mama. And we told him eliminate her name from the vocabulary, and it has changed so much in their household.
But when you're saying eliminate her name, because I don't want our audience to misconstrue this, it's not in a negative, like we don't even speak. It's you're honoring it. So you're saying like your mother when you're talking to your kids, right?
Yes.
Your mother, right?
Hey, your mom texted me and she said, or I'll go to Joy and said,
so you're
hey,
honoring her as their mother,
right?
Yes.
But when it's Joy and it's just, hey, I'll go to Joy and say, hey, the kid's mom sent me a text and wanted to know, because her role, her position in our household is their mother.
Yeah.
So her decision-making, her influence stops at motherhood.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yes.
I've never heard that, but that's really good. I can see the power of that.
So we do that. Yeah. Another thing we do is with our kids is I never want to drop them off. I never want them to feel like they were being left or kicked out the door or abandoned. So the way when our kids going back and forth between homes, whoever's home they're going to, we go and pick them up. We want them to have anticipation of looking forward to going to something new, not being left or put off. And so for their emotional well-being, I don't ever want them to feel like, oh, Dad and Joy are dropping me off because they're going to go do something without us. It's Mom's coming to pick us up because we get to spend time with her. So
you both do that.
Yes.
Yep.
So both households. And it's not perfect. There's times where you can't.
Yeah.
But in terms of transitioning or back and forth, we strive to go pick up our kids. Like think about like when you have family flying to town, you go to the airport with anticipation. If you it's very different than when you're going to the airport and you're dropping them off and they get out of the car and you say goodbye and they have to go through security and find their gate on their own.
Yeah.
Different experience emotionally.
Yeah.
So for our kids, we always want them to anticipate the change rather than feel like they're being told go away or left.
Yeah. What were some of Brandon mentioned a couple. Were there any practical things that you got out of that year because in some ways you maybe you guys can tell me I'm wrong on this, but I think you maybe had the more difficult situation because you're walking in to a marriage for the first time. You're I don't even know if you use this term, but stepmom, if you will. And all the changes that were coming in your life, I can't even imagine. So what were some of the practical things?
Well, let me add to that. She got married, moved across country, changed, her job essentially changed, became a stepmom with a teenager, like
all in the middle of COVID as well. So we'll add that
changes.
to the top.
Yes, massive changes. You're right. So What were some practical things that you learned during that time that you look back and go, these were really good?
Trying to think practically. I know we had a ton of conversations and just like anticipation of what is this really going to look like? How do I manage a house for other people that I've never done before? It's one thing whenever you get married and it's just the two of you and you kind of figure it out together. It's another thing whenever there's kids. That means there's more clothes, there's more, food to prepare, all of those things that have to be done. So I think it was just a lot of conversations that we had. We were long distance, like Brandon just said. So it was like when I would go visit, the kids may or may not be at Brandon's house. So sometimes it was just the two of us and it was like, the fun dating. And sometimes it was like actual real life, of like trying to figure out what is this going to look like.
Yeah.
And I think just having conversations with the kids too, asking them their preference. Like, hey guys, I don't know what you guys like to eat for lunch. What's your favorite snack? Like, how can I just do the small things that make our now house feel like home to them?
Yeah.
What is bedtime routine? What do you need when you're sick?
Not pretending like you would know because you wouldn't, but having open communication.
Having a lot of conversations and asking a ton of questions.
But that can create tension there between us because she doesn't know how Harper likes her sandwich cut. I do. She cuts Harper's sandwich the wrong way. And now there's tension between Joy and I of like, you don't know how to care for the kids. Yeah. Like, no, that's never happened. But those sort of things
like that
like happen. I remember that very first Mother's Day was one of the areas we weren't prepared for. The hardship that was in our home for Joy, who brought on motherhood and took ownership in these kids and mothers them. And then that first Mother's Day, they are with their biological mom. And that void inside of our home, how difficult that was. That was one of those where we weren't prepared and didn't know what to do with it or how to handle that. And actually our youngest, Harper, at the time, she was 7. She on her own came up with a new holiday that she created called Stepmom's Day.
Are you kidding me?
And she showed up with gifts and a card for Joy on the Wednesday. What? So in our home, the Wednesday after Mother's Day is Stepmom's Day.
I like brings tears in my eyes. That's so
our
cool.
Our kids make it like they've embraced Joy and honor her.
Yeah.
So that was
but that was
the
very first Mother's Day.
And that was 2 weeks after the wedding. I mean, it was quick. We got married beginning of May and it was middle of May.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
When you were describing what that was like, Joy, I was thinking it was almost like a cross-cultural situation for you. It was like moving to another country. You're learning because every family has a culture.
Totally.
So you're stepping into this, not only in a new relationship, but you're trying to figure out the culture of this. Like, okay, when so-and-so says this, what's really meant by this? Or how do they eat? Or what time do they eat? Or do I say no to this? Or, I just can't even imagine. Everything that you were going through.
I mean, it still happens often where it's just like, I know my role, but I'm still trying to find my role. I mean, we're 4 years in and there's still instances, situations where I'm like, not the mom. I only have so much say. Do I step in? Do I, just look at Brandon and hope he says something? Do I bring it to his attention later? Like what does that look like? And there's 2 teenagers in the house now and a preteen. And so there's all kinds of emotions in the home and just different attitudes and things like that we're also learning to navigate as a family. And for the kids too, they've been going back and forth between homes for years now, but that doesn't mean it's easy on them. We know transition day, whether they're coming to us or they're going to their moms, is going to be a more difficult day. You don't know what kind of attitudes they're going to have. I don't know what kind of attitude I'm going to have. Like it can be, I'm really looking forward to this or I'm really not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And those
was
pieces are
our
hard.
transition day is Sunday nights. And so it is getting reacquainted with, getting it's like we've been away for a week. We've got to get to know each other. Like, hey, what's happened in your life in the last week? What's going on? What's coming up this week in school? What challenges, what stresses are you facing? What tests do you have? So one of the things we've implemented in the last year is just Sunday night, we just have a family meeting. And could be 5 minutes, could be 55 minutes of just, hey, grab a blanket, lay on the couch. Let's just talk through the calendar, just talk life. Like, because they would come to our house and they'd all, they go to their rooms and it's just the silence and you don't know. And there's tension for whatever reason.
Because they are struggling with something, or they just
put yourself in their shoes.
need to relax.
I mean, they're back and forth and they're taking possessions with them, and like life for them is not easy.
Yeah.
I think about my son right now and just wrapping up baseball season. He had to go to school with his backpack and his gym bag and his baseball bag with his bats and his helmets and his cleats, because it was a transition. Like there was something happening where he was, was with his mom and then going with his dad. So he has to carry all that around school.
He's got a small U-Haul truck going to school. Yeah.
Right. That just makes life difficult for him. And then he's a second born, so odds are he forgot something.
Yeah.
Or
he was forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. And so the pressure that he has to live with to make sure he has everything for the next week, where he's 14. He can't think through 20 minutes right now, plan ahead. So those are the things we've learned on the other side that we couldn't prepare for, is just the personalities and what life really is going to look like.
Well, and as we're talking here, there's just so many things that start popping up in my mind about the complexity of it, that when you guys are talking, I'm going in a way, you go from being every few weeks empty nesters to having kids, nesters to having kids, but you're not really empty nesters because they're coming back,
right? Which
I guess I'm finding out is actually true with adult children too. But I just know, I look back on when we became empty nesters, I grieved deeply. Like, it was really, really difficult. Now we're finding like, oh my goodness, these are some of our favorite times of life. But you're going through that every few weeks.
Yeah, we have every Sunday.
There's Sunday nights where we are like so excited for their mom to show up. Like, we're done. It's been a long week.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's nights where it's heartbreak that they're leaving, because it's been such an amazing, wonderful week.
So you're feeling those emotions.
Right.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, until you live in our shoes, you don't really understand that the freedom of every other weekend, we have zero responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get, we want our kids as much time with them at the same time, but until you live, until you're on the side of the desk, you don't understand.
Yeah.
But no, it's hard. Like, they're, obviously they're not with us this week. And so it creates freedom, but it also creates more pressure, because we have to get things done so that we can spend intentional time with them next week. So we view life differently.
Yeah. What are some of the?
Well, apparently not differently. We're in the majority. This is normal life for blended families.
Yeah, for sure. We've talked a lot about some of the struggles and the difficulties. What are some of the beautiful things about a blended family? Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode so far. Be sure to like and subscribe to not miss a future podcast. Okay, let's get back to the episode. What are some of the beautiful things about a blended family?
I think, and I've said this to many people, I feel like I got really lucky in the stepkids that I got, because I've heard the horror stories. I've heard the people who are like, they won't talk to you. They won't acknowledge you. They won't, they're just very disrespectful. Since day one, all three of them, in their own personalities and ways, have showed me nothing but love and respect.
That's amazing.
And like Brandon just said, Harper came up with Stepmom's Day for our house.
Yeah.
And every year, the Wednesday after Mother's Day is Stepmom's Day, and that's how it's always been. But just the connection that I get to have with each of them, the jokes that we now have, or the memories that we now have that we've created over the last 4+ years, the influence that I can be another adult for them, that hopefully is guiding them, teaching them, loving them, that they can feel comfortable coming to, especially in these teen years where things just get a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think the kids also, one of the blessings is they got a new set of grandparents. They got more cousins, aunts and uncles that love them and have embraced them and accepted them. So more opportunity for them. They get to go on, they have 3 extended families now that they get to go on vacations with and travel with, and they get more they do more and see more of this country than
They get more Christmas
kids
gifts.
should. They get
and-
more. You know,
that Christmas tree is stocked.
I
underneath there,
guarantee
right?
you, if our son was here, that's what he would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
More
Christmas,
Christmas
yeah.
presents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been incredible seeing what thought was such a tragic, dire, shameful situation be so fruitful and come to life and healthy and healing and
Isn't though a blended family is really a better picture of God's family if you think about it. I mean, that was part of the thing in the New Testament that Paul was trying to get when he's writing his letters, and he's trying to get them to understand. He's like, do you understand as Gentiles, you've been grafted in, like this is a mystery that is hard to imagine. And so it's a blended family. Every ethnicity around the world is part of that family, different cultures, different languages, Jews, Gentiles. So God's family is one massive blended family when you think about it. So your family is probably a closer picture of God's family than some others in the sense that it's blended the way it is.
It is. And I don't want to speak for Joy, so I'll tee this up for her. But I think one of the other blessings is the impact she's been able to have and the community on like Instagram and social media of stepmoms.
Yeah. I know you said at least 50%. I've heard as high as 70% are affected by blended families in some sort of way. And so, yeah, it's the vast majority if you're looking at it like that. So there's thousands of stepmoms on Instagram that are, posting all the time. There's a few that I follow all the time and will communicate with quite a bit of, hey, here's this is going on. How did you guys handle this? Or even just being able to relate of, the kids left today, house is really quiet. It has been an unexpected blessing of, something that I don't think anyone grows up being like, yeah, I want to be part of a blended family. I want to be a stepmom. Like that's not something that I think any woman would ever say. But there is definitely some beauty in that. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Yeah. I'm not a step parent. Didn't have step parents, but I think I learned a lot just through observation and watching, and my admiration and love and respect for stepmoms in particular is at an all-time high. Because what happens with our kids, like they get off the court or at a cheer competition, whatever they're doing, they get done and they come running to mom and dad. And what the kids do is they run to their dad and then to their mom or to their mom and then to their dad. Step parent is always third. That's got to be painful to know that your best is the bronze medal. Like you will never be first or second, and you have to put in the same amount of work, same amount of effort to get third.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go into the Olympics. You wouldn't compete if you knew your best option is third place. Yeah. And you have to put in as much work as the guy who's going to win.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do it. But stepmoms do that every single day, and just it blows my mind.
Yeah.
The work they do for what they get in return, and for the most part,
for the bronze medal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Do you want to add anything to that?
I was actually just listening to a podcast yesterday entitled "Responsibility versus Authority." So I have all the responsibility of a wife at home, a wife and mom at home, cooking, cleaning, kid schedules, things like that most women do at their house with children. But my authority in parenting decisions is much less. I can give Brandon my thoughts and opinions, and then he and their mom decide what's best for the kids as a whole. So I like to tell him I have about a 10% authority. I don't know if that's accurate. That's what, in my mind, I have 10%. And same thing for, our son just graduated 8th grade. And so it was, mom, dad, and me. And that's how it always is. I do get acknowledged, which I will say that's great, because I know there are a lot of stepmoms who don't get acknowledged. And I still respect that they have a mom and a dad. So I'm not trying to be first or second. But it is just something that I feel like if I'm going to tell a future stepmom something, you have to be okay with being third at best. Sometimes it's fifth. Sometimes it's mom, dad, sister, brother. than me. You know,
Mhm.
like, I mean, it might be, that might vary, or it depends on who's in town.
And grandparents.
You know, like
It's-
things like that. Like, if you can't take a back seat, it's going to be really difficult.
Were you prepared for that? Well, is that some of the things that you had heard in that year of all your research?
I think so.
Okay.
It's also my personality. I'm much more behind the camera, not in front of it. Like, I'm just much more behind the scenes.
We've talked about this when we've met for coffee. You're an Enneagram 9.
I am.
Yeah, that my wife is too. And so like 9s, they're the best.
Isn't that great being a 3 married to a 9?
Oh, it's the best.
I mean,
like it's
we can just take advantage of it all day.
No, I'm not going to do that. No, it is because 9s. I mean, I always tell people if you can't like a 9 or you don't like a 9, there's something seriously wrong with you. 9s get along with almost everybody. Yeah. But I can see how your personality type, you're saying you could maybe handle that a little bit better. But you went in knowing that. You had done the research and so there were no unclear expectations.
Right. No, I was never trying to be mom. I was never trying to take that position in their life. Knowing, and I think there are some stepmoms that's what they want, and maybe there are situations where that's necessary.
Yeah.
Do you see the tension there?
I just let me, before you go to the tension, I want to note this because I do like how you honored her on that, you know, and I want to honor you on that too. I haven't thought that would be difficult, you know, and you came in and you knew that and you've lived it out. And so I heard you honor her with that. So what were you going to say?
Well, just the tension in that responsibility versus authority. Where Joy says she feels like she only has 10% authority in the kids, so she's giving me her opinion of what we need to do. Well, I am now stuck between stepmom and mom.
Mm-hmm.
I am about to upset somebody, and the repercussions for both are horrible. So there's that constant pressure that I'm not step-parenting, but I'm between wife, stepmom.
Yeah.
And inside your home.
Complexity.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that creates tension between us because she has very strong opinions about something
things.
And that are different than their mom's. And I have to come in and try to navigate both. And it's, it's not easy.
Have the kids played that card much? I mean, there's no kid that wouldn't, right? But
they play the mom versus dad card.
Yeah, because kids do that in homes that aren't. Blended.
Absolutely,
like
I did that as a kid.
Yeah. My wife.
Mom said I could do this. Dad, you know, like.
Yeah. Or they know who to go ask.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what bothers me more is when the mom plays the dad or plays the kid, uses the kids to, rather than mom just asking me a question, sends one of the kids to ask because it will benefit her in return. Like I think there's certain things that I try to do my best that we need to keep business and not get the kids involved. Yeah. And as soon as the kids get involved, it changes kids' perceptions and they don't see the whole picture. They think, oh, dad's being a jerk because he won't help us with that. Well, they don't know the whole story or see what, you know, and so.
The prior conversations.
So I struggle with that, but that's probably more of a me issue because there's, like Joy said, there's a lot of horror stories out there and we've been pretty blessed.
Yeah.
We've got great kids.
Yeah.
So what, as you guys are, so you've been doing this 4 years, right? And again, talking to our audience, some of them are maybe stepping into it. Some of them have maybe been in it for a long time. What is something really practical that you would advise them? Again, I was asking you earlier on some things that you've learned, but what's a really practical thing that you guys do? I heard one of them. You guys were talking about your meetings that you now do Sunday night. Yeah. What are some other things that you're doing that for at least your family you found have really been good?
Another thing, we've called one kid up. The kids are a bit older now, but when they were younger and had, bedtimes and, stricter guidelines, it's on a Thursday night, we would rotate each week. Two of the kids would go to bed and one kid got to stay up for 30 or 45 minutes longer. And we did whatever that kid wanted. If they wanted to play a game, play cards, watch TV, just talk, eat ice cream, whatever they wanted. But it was just an opportunity it was kind of like a podcast. Like I was hosting, but it was trying to create opportunity for Joy and that kid to have one-on-one intentional conversation and time without the other kids interrupting, vying for position over talking, and just so very intentional time. And then every Thursday morning would take a different kid's rotation. We go grab coffee or go get coffee and a cookie and just have real life conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you liking about Joy? I know having a stepmom's hard, but what don't you like? What are the challenges you're facing? and allowing them a safe place to vent to dad. They trust dad, and allowing me to go back to Joy and said, hey, here's how Avery's struggling. I think you're doing the right thing, but we may just need to tweak our communication to her because here's what she's hearing, rather than creating conflict between Joy and Avery and leaving them to sort it out. And so intentional one-on-one time has been good. I would tell couples, go find somebody that's been where you want to go. Go to dinner with them, have conversation, ask the hard questions, find a mentor. We have mentors in business and we have mentors in ministry, and go find a relationship mentor, someone who you want your marriage, your relationship, family to model theirs.
You just saw my nonverbals. Like I lean back and my knees bouncing now and I'm all excited because I think that's one of the most undersought things in our culture. Like, go find mentors. You want to have a good marriage, then go find older people that are 20 years into a marriage and have a good marriage and say, hey, can we go out to dinner once a month?
Right.
Can I just pick your brain? Or what you're saying with blended families, someone who's done it, who's been down that road, who's done well. And Joy, you're saying you're starting to get to do that now with some others because you've been into this for 4 years now, but that's huge.
And if you told me you're reading a book on how to make your business more profitable, I would applaud you, be like, good for you. Or you're reading a book on how to market or how to differentiate yourself. All these things we applaud. But there's this shame and embarrassment where, like, I'm trying to be a better husband, a better stepmom. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, good for you. We should all be wanting to get better. Go read, invest, have conversations.
Yep. And there's people that have been down that journey before. My wife and I, we've had people over the years that have come and said, well, you guys do premarital counseling for us. And most of the time we'd say no, because my wife hates those kind of things. First of all, doing some kind of like official counseling. But we have said yes to saying, why don't we do this? Let's grab dinner once a month and you come each time with 1 or 2 questions that you want to ask. You guys just think about it and you ask us, and that's what we'll do. But that's the value of what you're suggesting, of saying, like, go do that with someone who's been down this road before with blended families, for sure. What, Joy, what about you? Any practical advice that you guys see that you've done?
I mean, going off that, finding people that have been there, go ask the hard questions. Be open about whatever it is that you're going through, because somebody's walked through it before and they can help you through it.
I mean, Pat, you know me well enough. I try to live so intentionally, so I try to script and plan out every day. And so we've talked about, hey, Joy, it'd probably be a good idea for you just to stop in one of the kids' bedrooms. Like, go in there unsolicited, sit on their bed and just ask them about their day. Yeah. Don't wait for me to initiate the conversation. Like, you lead with that. Or, you know, if we end up at like a sporting event together for one of the kids and we have multiple vehicles there, we're intentional. Okay, all right, girls are going to that car, boys in this car, just to create conversation. So just being intentional about where our seats are at the table or in conversations.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a matter of step parenting. I think it's parenting in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Kids need parents involved in their family.
Yeah.
I think it's harder as the step parent because you're still getting to know and like, what are my boundaries? I think whenever they're littler, you have more of a parental role. But as they get older, or when they're older, when you jump into the family, my role, and especially the older two life, is really just a friend, maybe, you know, some sort of authority, but not really parenting, but still that takes intentional conversations and time.
My brain's racing. We're just looking for more practical. A big believer in dinner as a family, sitting down at the table, turning off phones, devices, having conversation. I think our kids think that's what we do every night. Even when they're not with us, if they can only see how we eat and what we do differently. The rules are different when they're home versus when it's just us. But I think it's really healthy. There's all kinds of studies and statistics out there on kids and where they end up in life if they're having a family meal 2 to 3 nights a week. Just, I think, very intentional family time.
Being intentional in our off weeks as well. Like, when we don't have the kids, we still have to connect and talk and, you know, have more business conversations in that week that maybe is harder to have when the kids are around. And so not letting that week slip by and be like, we didn't do anything. We were just relaxing and lazy. And like,
it's almost like we create, going into that Sunday night meeting, it's almost like running a business, because we pre-plan, okay, here's the agenda. In the conversation, we need to bring up these 3 issues with the kids. And the kids used to fear Sunday night meetings because they thought they were in trouble for something. And so we had to change the dialogue to like, yes, because you're leaving next Sunday doesn't mean you just throw all your laundry in the laundry basket and leave on Sunday. Like there's still responsibility here.
Yeah.
They hear that as I got in trouble because I didn't do my like, no, we got to figure out how to navigate this and make this work. And the more weeks that go on, the better it gets. But with aging kids and teens, like there's always something.
Yeah. Joy, you brought up something too when you were talking that made me think. I've often referred to as different stages of parenting, and I stole this from someone else a long time ago. I don't remember who it was, but you really, if you could break it down, you start as a commander, then you move to a coach, and then you go to a counselor when they become adults. So early on, when they're young, 2, 3, 4, most of it's just like no son, yes son, no. It's just commander. Still, if you're healthy, going after their hearts while you're doing that, but you're the commander. Then when they start moving into those older years, you start moving into a little bit more of a coach, You're going to let them make decisions, but you're trying to coach them through those decisions. You missed the whole commander stage and jumped right into the coaching stage.
Absolutely.
With not a lot of authority that a coach would have too. So I could see the difficulty with that. And now you guys are moving into, especially as the age of them, you're kind of getting in that counselor stage where when I define that, I go, especially with adult children, it's really healthy to just keep your mouth shut until they come to you. That's what a counselor is. I'm not going to counsel until you come and ask me for my counsel. But you're jumping into that like you missed a whole stage.
Absolutely.
In a sense. Yeah.
No, it was definitely difficult. Trying to figure out even just my expectations of how to parent and raise kids are different than his or yours or the next person. And so I have to figure out what's already been established in the home. And we can make tweaks, and we have. And, I've said, well, what about this? Or, I don't think the kids should go to that person's house or whatever that might be. And so that's
hard. Different rules, different households.
That's been a learning curve as well.
And a couple already has to go through that, but they're usually going through that kind of all along those stages. Where with blended families, sometimes someone is jumping in at a different stage of life, which is kind of what we're talking about. Yeah.
I think one of the hard ones is stepmom has no say when it comes to medical decisions, which was really interesting. One we didn't see coming.
I didn't know that. Legally?
Yeah. I mean, legally, step parents have no rights. Because there is unless the other parent is gone, unless there is no other mom or dad. Legally, if something were to happen to
both the parents, try to get a hold of one of them.
Like I don't.
I didn't.
The school has my information, so I emergency contact things like that. But as far as like legally or medically or even just
not to make it this political at all. Let's just say there was some sort of like virus and there was a push to get, some sort of vaccine to protect you.
Yes.
If one parent says, hey,
theoretically,
I really want the kids to be protected from this. And the other household is theoretically, I don't think they should for these reasons. The stepmom
legally has
nothing.
Yeah. Or the stepdad.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
So that's kind of been a hot topic in the last theoretically few years. But in terms of like even from a young age, like you inherited, as a stepmom, you inherited the medical background or
like you may disagree with how
even just course of treatment. I'm more let's just wait and see, like more naturally minded.
Yeah.
And that's not always what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I just have to hope and pray that, everything works out.
Yeah. Okay. So best and worst day. 4 years, blended family. We've talked about the beauty, the complexity, the difficulties of it, but best and worst day.
The best day of the last 4 years. There's two moments. One, the wedding day. After the wedding.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say something about going to a Boston thing.
Good. That's coming.
Yeah. For the audience, he's a huge Boston fan, and it's part of the flaw of his character. But go ahead.
Seeing the kids embrace that moment of it's official, we're family was really cool.
On the wedding day.
On the wedding day. The second the wedding was over. Like my son was best man in the wedding. So his anticipation to sign the marriage certificate, like it was official when that was really cool.
And how old was he?
10.
He was 10.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
he's the best man.
He was
Yeah.
the best
Dad's
man.
wedding.
Yep.
Gets to sign the wedding certificate. Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think family trips.
Yeah, it's hard. There's a moment of like, if I go back to the nostalgic me, there was the moment with the whole family watching fireworks at Magic Kingdom at Disney World one night. Like, wow, these are the moments you capture. And
The beach last summer in Oregon.
I was gonna say 4th of July last year, we were in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho on the lake.
That's a beautiful lake in and of
The
itself.
sea, I don't want people to know it exists.
Yeah,
Like, don't
yeah.
go there.
It's up in
But-
Canada somewhere.
But in July, just incredible weather. But that day was just the perfect day because, 4th of July, first of all, everybody's happy. It's the one day of the year we're all unified. Nobody's working. It's lighthearted. You can eat whatever you want. You can wear whatever you want to wear. You're accepted. It's just great. But
No
just that day
expectation.
as a family was just,
It was a special day for you.
it was special.
Yeah. Side note, you're from Arizona. Aren't 4th of July's way better up north?
Absolutely. Yes.
I love Arizona, but that is still my wife. We've been here for 18 years and it's still the holiday every year
Because
where
it's
I'm like,
so hot here.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be here.
Like-
Nobody
like
wants
you're-
to sit outside
exactly.
for 2 hours and watch
It's
fireworks.
Just dripping with sweat. Because
Yeah.
you go up north, like I grew up with that. And it's like the day like you're describing,
amazing.
Brandon. It's free and
Yeah.
everybody's outside and they're cooking. And it's usually some of the most beautiful weather the
Yeah.
entire year.
Yep.
But we moved down here and it's like, can we watch them from inside the car? The fireworks,
right.
with the air conditioning.
It's 110
Yeah.
degrees outside.
Not complaining about Arizona.
9
Well, I
p.m.
am, but I love Arizona too. But so, and anyway, so those were some nostalgic,
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
memories.
As far as blended family, like worst days go, worst moments. There was one day, I want to say it was like July, like probably 2 months after we had gotten married. I'd just moved into our new house. It was transition day. He had to be at the office at like 8 a.m. Kid's mom was coming to pick them up at like 9 or 10. So it was my first transition day by myself.
Mm.
The kids left at 10 a.m. The house is completely quiet. He's gone in meetings all day. And I'm like, what do I do with myself?
Mm.
Like, it was so heartbreaking, but also gave me a totally different perspective on what he dealt with before I was there. Now I'm there and now we have each other and it's different. But for those however many years, when your kids leave and there's nobody else in the
Quiet
house. And they're
Yeah.
gone for, depending on the schedule, 3 days to 7 days. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Just learning to be okay with the silence and thoughts and, what is this like? Just
Yeah.
the emotions of it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I've appreciated about this interview that we've done. It's only been, about 50 minutes or so, but there's no perfect marriage. We'll never arrive in marriage. But I really appreciate how you both keep seeing each other through the other's eyes. Like like what you just said, Joy, like one of the most difficult days. It was a difficult day for you, but then it made you realize like, oh man, these must have been difficult for Brandon. I've heard
Mhm.
Brandon a couple of times just talking about like, wow, for her, what's it like knowing that you're going to be the bronze medal at the most? So I appreciate that about you both, how you're doing that. And I think that's part of any healthy relationship or healthy marriage, but especially in a blended family, you
Yeah.
got to really see it that way.
Well, even shout out to the single parents, because I did that for years as
yeah.
well by myself. And
Mhm.
that's a grind.
Mhm.
Like when you're doing it all, everything from working 40 plus hours a week to getting kids from point A to point B, grocery shopping, laundry, cleaning
Homework, dinner.
house,
Yep.
homework, dinner.
Yep.
It is exhausting.
Yep. And you're trying to be a mom and a dad,
Yeah.
even though that's
Yeah.
impossible.
The emotional needs plus
Yep.
the physical plus
Yep.
the financial.
And that's hard too. As a dad, I'm more in tune to the physical needs and how to fix those and not so much the emotional piece.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably, I don't know there's a specific day, but I think some of the hardships have been mom's more emotional, dad's more logical. And so it's really hard to help a kid, and it creates, you bring in perfect people into a situation, there's drama and tension. And
Yeah. As we're wrapping up this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment on something you'll take away. All right, let's hop back into the remainder of the episode. Well, Brandon and Joy, thank you so much for being on No Gray Areas. This has been a really good conversation. I actually myself have learned a lot from this. And like you said, by the way, Joy, you mentioned 70% is the number. That's one I read too,
Okay.
but I couldn't nail it down.
Find it concrete.
So I didn't want to give
Yeah.
so I said over 50%.
Yeah.
But I have heard that it's closer to like 70% of families now
Yeah.
are somehow blended families.
Mhm.
So a large,
And like
large
you said, there's
majority.
50 different types.
Yeah,
So-
50 different types of
Yeah.
them. And it just adds a complexity.
Mhm.
With that comes difficulties, but with
Mhm.
that comes some real beauty
Absolutely.
too. And like we said, and this is what I want our audience to really walk away with. The beauty of blended families, though, it's probably a much closer picture to what God's family looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
We are the family of God, the children of God. It is a massive blended family.
Mhm.
Different cultures, different ethnicities.
I heard once heaven's going to look a lot like Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything you see in Walmart, that's heaven.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's
Every
both
race,
hopeful-
every status,
That's both
every.
hopeful and really scary. Yeah, for sure. Well, 2 truths and a lie. Are you
Okay.
ready for this?
Yes,
That's awesome.
I
Okay,
am.
let's go.
All right.
I've
This
got it
is
written
again.
down.
This is the fun part of what we do. It's a little ironic because it's no gray areas. I'm going to ask you to lie. So,
Do we both get to go here?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Okay.
do you want to go
Do you want me
first?
to go first?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. So I played soccer at the University of Iowa.
Okay.
I have visited 24 countries, and I ran the Chicago Marathon.
Oh man. Okay. You ran the marathon.
I did run the marathon.
Okay, good. See, I'm down
Yes.
to 50-50.
Yes.
This is good. And you know what? Oh man. I'm going to say you played soccer.
Oh, I did not.
got it.
Yes.
I went to school in Iowa. Did not play soccer. Did not play collegiate soccer.
See, I was going to think if you ran marathons, you're an athlete. Maybe you played collegiate soccer. Okay, but you've been to 24 countries.
Yes.
There's something beautiful about traveling,
It
isn't
really
it? Like
is.
I think it opens your eyes
Yeah.
to the world.
Yeah.
And,
We were talking about it this morning. And I was like, I haven't been to a new country since 2019. I think
Yeah.
I need to go.
yeah. Favorite country you've been to?
Greece, probably.
Okay.
Israel is probably was a close second.
Yeah. Israel, there's nothing like people would come back and say like, oh man, it opens your eyes to the Bible. You'll read the Bible differently. And I'd always be like, don't say that because a lot of people can't go to Israel. Then I went to Israel. I'm like, you know what?
You do.
You read the Bible differently
you
once
do.
you've been there. Yeah.
The Sea of Galilee, you definitely have a different perspective of what that actually was like.
It's incredible.
The
Yeah.
boats that they had. I mean, just
Yep.
very
Yeah,
different.
for sure.
Mhm.
All right. There's no way you're going to get me, Brandon. Nice
Okay.
job, Joy.
Thank you.
Nice job.
I earned the Presidential Ambassador of Global Entrepreneurship Award from Shark Tank's Damon John and President Obama.
Okay.
I've never seen Star Wars, and I'm speaking at TED Talk 2024.
You're speaking TED Talk. I know that one. And I think what you just did to me is you threw in a name with the presidential, because I think you got the award, but you probably just threw in one extra name. So that's the lie, isn't it?
That is not the lie. That is true. I have never seen Star Wars.
Really?
No.
Okay. You're not missing much, but my boys
Exactly.
my boys are still mad at me though, because I watched one of the new ones and I came home and I said, don't even waste your time. They're terrible. And then they loved them. So ever since then, they'll be like, we'll never believe you again with movies. But
And why would I want to go watch it now? It's like 1984 terrible technology.
yeah, I think it was before that.
83,
70s
82?
or something.
When the
I
first one came
I
out,
don't
was
know.
it that?
Yeah, I was a kid. So.
No, but I worked real hard on this. I knew I had to stump you. So
You did.
I was helping Joy. I don't know if you heard Joy. She said just this morning we were talking about I haven't been to a new country since 2019. Do you know what I heard? Why are you a terrible husband and you
Yeah.
haven't taken me anywhere in the last 5 years?
Yes.
That's what I heard.
Well, that's what I heard too.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Thanks.
Glad we both picked
Yeah.
up on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, now I need Charmaine here to
Yeah,
be on my side.
She can help you go, that's not what I meant. I don't know how many times we've had that discussion. That's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have that a lot.
Usually I stay mad for about a week though before I finally come and say, well, this is what you said. And then she says, that's not what I meant. And then I'm like, well, we could have figured this out 7 days ago if I would have just said something. Communication. Well, hey, thanks so much, man. This has been really, really helpful. And I'm going to leave a little frustrated that I was 0 for 2 on the 2 truths and a lie today. You guys both stumped
It's all
me.
right.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
it's an
thank you
honor.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this powerful conversation all about step parenting and blended families with Brandon and Joy Smith. Don't forget to subscribe to No Gray Areas and follow us on all social media channels. We'll catch you in our next episode.